Hi guys, and welcome to another video. So as we have recently just entered 2020, I thought it would be a good time for me to go through my Premier League team of the decade. Now, we are going to be taking a few things into consideration. I have seen a couple of other YouTubers' videos when they are speaking about their Premier League team of the decade, and I'm going to kind of go in an opposite direction. A lot of people have taken into consideration the sort of achievements of individual players, their consistency, which I am going to marginally take into consideration. But what my picks are going to be based on is how good those players were or are in their prime, if that makes sense. So there might be one player who only had one really good season, but in that good season they were better than others who may have consistently performed over several, if that makes sense. So this is essentially going to be my best 11 rather than sort of more successful and taking trophies and what have you into too much consideration. Of course, yeah, they have to be considered, but they aren't going to be at the forefront and the priority of my mind when doing this. And remember as well, this is simply my opinion, and I'd really be interested to see what your guys' starting 11s would be in the comments down below. So let's get straight into it. So first and foremost, we're going to be going with a 4-3-3, a flat 4-3-3 formation, and we will start off with the goalkeeper. Now, we are running off the BBC sort of app here, so they do have a selection of different players for different positions. So this is what I'm going to go off basically. So in goal, we have to choose from. We have Petr Cech, who I think Mr. Consistent, although towards the back end of his Arsenal career he did tail off a little bit. We have Courtois as well, who was really good at Chelsea, up and coming goalkeeper. He's gone to Real Madrid and hasn't really set the world alight, has he? We have David De Gea, again, he's a player who started off very much quite a shaky player. He made quite a few mistakes early on in his Manchester United career, but he's come through and is definitely one of the best goalkeepers in the world right now, for me anyway. Ederson for Manchester City, absolutely excellent goalkeeper for me. He commands the area brilliantly. We have Joe Hart, who at the beginning of the decade was excellent for City, but my God, has that man gone off the rails since. We have Hugo Lloris, again, a very, very good goalkeeper, but he's one of those keepers, he makes just as many mistakes as he does great saves, if that makes sense. He's always got a mistake in him somewhere, Hugo Lloris, I feel, which I suppose is a similar story to De Gea, but I think De Gea is just simply a better goalkeeper than Lloris. And then we have Kasper Schmeichel, who his rise to fame, his rise to glory has been, of course, since winning the Premier League with Leicester those few seasons ago. But out of those goalkeepers for me, I would go with David De Gea. I mean, Cech for me was a close one. But over the decade, I would definitely believe that David De Gea is the better goalkeeper. Of course, consistency, I did say I was going to kind of wipe away a little bit. But I think, on the whole, at their best, David De Gea is the best goalkeeper out of them lot. Some of the saves he produces have been nothing short of sensational. So for me, in goal, in my team of the decade, my Premier League team of the decade, it would be David De Gea. So now moving on to right back, we have a decent few as well. We have Trent Alexander-Arnold, an absolutely excellent right back, and probably the best right back in the world right now, in my opinion. We have Azpilicueta, who has played right back, left back, centre back, everywhere for Chelsea, and has always done a very, very solid job there for them. Another right back, we do have Branislav Ivanovic, who I have mentioned in a previous video when I chose my sort of favourite all-time 11 about a year ago when I did that video. I did choose Ivanovic as a right back because I just think he was absolutely excellent for Chelsea. He was such an all-rounded right back. He was so strong. He wasn't the paciest, but defensively he was excellent. He demanded the area as well. And going forward, he got so many goals. That was really what edged me towards choosing him in the last sort of similar video that I did make all those months. And I think it was about a year ago, like I say. Also, at right back, we have James Milner, who can play at right back, who's Mr. Consistent, Mr. Reliable. He can play anywhere, James Milner, can't he? So he has a decent shout as well. Kyle Walker, who for me has been absolutely excellent with Spurs and Manchester City as well, although I feel like he's fell off a little bit over the last season or two. Zabaleta was excellent for Manchester City as well towards the beginning of the decade. He went here, there and everywhere, went to West Ham I think at one point as well, where he wasn't quite as good, but yeah, a really good shout as well for Zabaleta. But out of these right backs, for me, it was more so between Ivanovic and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, they're two completely different players. Ivanovic was a player who was so solid at the right-hand side of defence, but he was scoring goals for fun as well. Every corner and every cross that would go in the box, if he was in there, he would win that header, and he scored so many vital goals for Chelsea. But for me, right now, Trent Alexander-Arnold is the best right back in the world, and I don't think Ivanovic really reached that title. So for me, I am going to go with Trent Alexander-Arnold because He gets forward, he tracks back, he's got an engine on him, and his crossing ability is probably one of the best crossing abilities I've ever seen in the Premier League. So at right back, I am going to be putting in Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now this is where it gets really difficult, the centre-back position, because there's so many here that I could easily chuck in. So we have Azpilicueta again, because he has been playing there. We have Rio Ferdinand, one of the best centre-backs ever been in the Premier League. We have Vincent Kompany, a leader and also a brilliant centre-back again when he does remain fit, or when he is fit. We have David Luiz, who for me, he doesn't quite cut it. He was great at Chelsea at times, but he's always got a mistake in him, David Luiz, and I definitely think his career has tailed off a little bit in recent years. Wes Morgan, who of course achieved the unachievable, or what we thought was the unachievable, with Leicester, a very, very solid name there to chuck in. We have John Terry, of course, very consistent as well, excellent servant to Chelsea. Virgil van Dijk, who for me, again, right now is the best centre-back in the world, and probably better than anyone else on this list in terms of centre-backs. So I will be going for Virgil van Dijk to be my first centre-back in this lineup. I just think he's such a good leader, he's pacey, he is so strong, again, he's so commanding, he wins everything in the air, and he can pop up with a goal or two as well. So for me, Virgil van Dijk has to be in this lineup. But we do have another few players who will fit into this category. We have Vertonghen, we have Vidic as well, who I think is one of the best centre-backs the Premier League's ever seen. Again, his partnership with Rio Ferdinand was absolutely unquestionable. It's never been in doubt. They were absolutely amazing. But Van Dijk, particularly over the last season or two, has become better, I believe, anyway. I think he's such a good player. I rate him that highly. But alongside him, I am going to put Rio Ferdinand. Now, a lot of people argue this because, of course, he kind of retired towards the sort of early stages of the decade, but even then he was absolutely world class, and I still think he was better than the likes of Vincent Kompany and what have you. So I'm going to put Rio Ferdinand alongside Van Dijk, because he did have the strength, he did have the pace, a little bit like Van Dijk, and he was very good on the ball, again like Van Dijk. So I think those two together, particularly with Ferdinand in his prime, would be absolutely phenomenal as a centre-back partnership. Now towards the left-hand side of defence, we have the likes of Marcos Alonso, who's been really decent in recent years, former Sunderland man as well, who did spend a loan spell with us. We have Leighton Baines, Mr. Consistency, now 35 years of age, I believe, for Everton. We have Gael Clichy, who was very good for Arsenal at times as well, towards the earlier stages of the decade. We have Patrice Evra as well, who was absolutely excellent. He was a very good all-rounded left-back as well, getting forward, tracking back. He was strong, really, really good player. We have Alexander Kolarov, who had a decent couple of seasons with Manchester City as well. We also have Andrew Robertson, who has been absolutely phenomenal for Liverpool over the last season or two. In particular, he's a very similar in terms of, you know, his crossing ability and his attacking ability for Liverpool, with Trent Alexander-Arnold. They have a great little partnership there. I believe that Liverpool do have the best two fullbacks in the world right now. Also, we have Vertonghen, who can play at left back as well. I do know that. But for me, it's definitely a toss-up between Andrew Robertson and Evra. And for me, I think in terms of how good both players are at their best, of course right now I think Andrew Robertson is playing at his best. He's more than likely going to get better. But I think Evra, for me, in his prime, was absolutely incredible with his pace, his strength, his deliveries. He was just as good. So I'm going to put Patrice Evra there at the left back position. I think probably in a year or two I'll more than likely have Robertson there, because obviously Evra won't get into the next decade anyway, because he's not about anymore. But I just think Evra just pips Robertson to it. Now, at the midfield three, we have some incredibly strong candidates for this. We have the likes of Carrick, Coutinho, we have Silva, De Bruyne, Eriksen, Fabregas, Fernandinho, we have Steven Gerrard, N'Golo Kante, we have Lampard, Milner, of course he can fit in there as well, Özil, Pogba, Ramsey. We have some excellent players in there, Yaya Toure as well. So I had a hell of a job to choose three from them, which has been a really difficult task. But for me, the best central midfielder in the world right now is Kevin De Bruyne. He does get his little injuries, his little niggles, which must be very frustrating for him. But his vision on the pitch and the way he controls the game is unlike many have done before in the Premier League. And I just think he is that good. His vision off the ball is insane. His movement off the ball is crazy. He can score as well. He can just do a little bit of everything. And that's why I love him so much. And I think he is the best midfielder in the world right now. And alongside him in the centre, bang in the centre of midfield, I am going to put this absolute brick shithouse, Yaya Toure. Now, I think Toure was actually relatively underrated somewhat in his time because, well, I don't know why, because he was absolutely world class for me. At the time, I think he was probably one of the best central midfielders in the world. During his peak at Manchester City, he can track back, he's so strong and bulky, and he could also score wonder goals as well. It just, again, it's another all-rounded midfielder, and it's so difficult to choose here because you do have the likes of Gerrard and Lampard as well. Gerrard, for me, of course, he was an excellent player. Lampard was scoring goals throughout his career, even when he was ageing. He was still scoring 10-plus goals, 20 goals sometimes in a season, which was insane. But alongside these two, to make off and round off the middle three, I am going to be going for none other than N'Golo Kante, because for me, he's just got the biggest engine I've ever seen. It's inhumane, his engine. It really is ridiculous. And of course, he achieved the remarkable with Leicester and then went and won the league with Chelsea the next season, which just speaks volumes about him as well. And he is a very, very good player. His tackling ability, his breaking up of the play, and his general team play is absolutely outstanding. And for me, I'm looking at this as a team as well. So I just think De Bruyne, Toure and Kante in the middle, that is such a well-rounded and a well-mixed three in the midfield. So for me, it will be De Bruyne, Toure and Kante in the middle of that midfield. And now we get to the forward three, which again was just as hard. But in the centre of that forward three, I'm probably going to put a couple of strikers in there. So don't look at it straight away as sort of like a right winger or a left winger or whatever. It is going to be a little bit out of touch because I need to squeeze a couple of these strikers in there. Absolutely. We have the likes of Aguero, we have Bale, we have Costa, Drogba, Firmino, Hazard, Harry Kane, Lukaku, Sergio Mane, Wayne Rooney, we have Salah, Alexis Sanchez, who definitely won't be getting in there, Raheem Sterling, Luis Suarez, Carlos Tevez, Van Persie, and Jamie Vardy. So we have a hell of a lot of incredible players to choose from in there, but for me, the one that sticks out immediately has to be Sergio Aguero, because he is just that good. He's just so consistent with his goal scoring. He scores 20 plus goals every season pretty much, and it's another player that if he wasn't hampered by injuries every now and then, he could be scoring 30 plus goals a season, because he always seems to pick up at least a little knock every season. It might keep him out for a few weeks or a month or two, but he really is just one of the best poachers, the best strikers this Premier League has ever seen. Now another consistent goal scorer as well, and I keep using the word consistency even though I said I wasn't really going to, but another consistent goal scorer, it has to be Harry Kane, the man who just does not stop scoring goals. It's another player that gets 20 to 30 goals every single season. He has hit the 30 goal mark before for Spurs as well. So Aguero and Kane up top, alongside another player as well who I'm going to add, that would be absolutely insanity. So the last player I am going to be adding to this list is none other than Eden Hazard, and that is because, of course, he isn't doing fantastic now with Real Madrid, but in the Premier League for Chelsea, he was something else. There were just times where you can maybe claim that he hasn't been the most consistent, but there were times where Chelsea pretty much didn't have a striker and they just stuck him up top by himself at times, and he was looking a real isolated figure, and he was still making chances for himself, scoring amazing goals, individual goals. But even when the team were flowing, he was right at the centre of that, and he was probably one of the best dribblers this Premier League has ever seen. So this is my team of the decade in the Premier League. We have De Gea in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Virgil van Dijk, Rio Ferdinand, Patrice Evra, Kevin De Bruyne, Yaya Toure, N'Golo Kante, Harry Kane, Sergio Aguero, and Eden Hazard. I think, you know, I've done a pretty decent job there. Of course, we have the likes of Mo Salah, we have Mane, who I really wanted to put in there, but I just thought, on the whole, I really had to add the likes of Aguero, Harry Kane and Hazard in there. But of course, it is just my opinion. You guys let me know in the comments down below what your starting 11 will be in the Premier League team of the decade. But if you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button for me. It'd be massively, massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sassy Army. But for now, you take care and stay jamming.